Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them to join us because Maiyegun is live. And tonight is going to be the continuation from where we stopped at noon, or somehow a little bit of detour. The new INEC chairman, Josh Amupitan, has been sworn in by Tinubu today in the Old Rock. And I am going to start from there. We are going to go to, because it's election stuff, right? So we're going to go to the National Assembly, where Oshiomole and others, especially Oshiomole, advocating for the politicians to stop using political thugs for election riggings in their deliberation on the Electoral Act 2022 amendment, which is currently ongoing, by the way. So then we are going to touch on the reasons given by the police why Omoyele Sowore was abducted in a broad daylight today, when they said the Commissioner of Police of Abuja was inviting him. They have now told us why they decided to do that to Omoyele Sowore and what is coming up next. And that's how we're going to run it this hour. So please, like the broadcast if you haven't already. Share it, right? And let's go to their Old Rock, where the swearing in, swearing for the new INEC chairman took place with this.
He occupies the pride of place in the honest strong in Nigeria's legal and academic community through diligence, intellect, and his steadfast commitment to justice and national development. Professor Amupitan began his higher education at the Kwara State Polytechnic in Ilorin before proceeding to the University of Jos, where he obtained a Bachelor of Law degree in 1987. He was called to the Nigerian bar in 1988 and returned to the University of Jos to pursue his master's and PhD in law.
I, Professor Oshiomole, SAN, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God. Oath of office for Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission. I, Professor Amupitan, SAN, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully, and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law, and always in the interests of the sovereignty, integrity, solidarity, well-being, and prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will exercise the authority vested in me as Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, so as not to invade or prejudice The authority lawfully vested in the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and so as not to endanger the continued
and so on and so forth. Let me save you time. I will save us time, all right? Because we are starting with the boring part before we get to the interesting part as we wait for other member of the temple, the Templars. What did Kolu say at that inauguration? So for context, okay, in the next few weeks or months, right, those of you who have been shouting the name of Momodu Yakubu, you won't be calling Yakubu anymore. This will be the guy you'll be shouting his name. And normally, right, when they give you new, kind of like a new head for a supposed agency or organization, you would expect some changes, something that would be like a little bit of like, reforms, but don't expect anything. And I don't want to be a killjoy, all right? Here is what Kolu said at a swearing for ceremony.
Here present, distinguished guests, head of service, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first begin by congratulating Professor Josiah Amupitan on the appointment as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Your nomination for the important role and the subsequent confirmation by the Senate is a testament to your capacity and the confidence reposed in you by both the executive and the legislative arm of government. The significant achievement marked the beginning of a challenging yet rewarding journey, and I trust that you will approach your responsibilities with the highest level of integrity, dedication, and patriotism. Our democracy has come a long way in 25 years. We have consolidated and strengthened our democratic institutions, particularly our electoral system, through innovation and reforms. We have learned a great deal along the way and have improved significantly from where we were many years ago. We must now remain committed to the principles that underpin democracy in a complex, multifaceted society. The electoral process is a vital part of a democracy, safeguarding the people's exclusive right to choose their leaders and shape their future. To ensure that our democracy continues to flourish, the integrity of our electoral system must be beyond reproach. It is important that our elections are free, fair, and credible. We must consistently improve our electoral process, addressing the challenges of yesterday and innovating for today and tomorrow. To maintain public trust in elections, electoral integrity must be protected. All aspects of the process, from registration to campaigning, immediate access, voting and counting, should be transparent, non-violent, and be credible. No electoral system is flawless, but since elections are vital to a nation's future, it is essential to continually strengthen electoral institutions, ensuring they are robust, resilient, and safeguarded against artificial setbacks.
Blah, blah, blah. So the game is rigged and it is set. So Amupitan resumed office officially as the INEC chairman just in the nick of time when the Anambra election will be the litmus test of course, you know now that at the end of the day, all the normal kind of like the tradition of your charade that you call election, right? So it's going to happen, and they are going to tell you that he just came in. He hasn't really made any changes, of course. Then you're going to have Oshun election, I think, next year, and that will be another one. And yeah, however that goes, right? They will still give you an excuse. But in the National Assembly, where the law is being like tinted right now to fit into their 2027 renewed hope election. That's what they're going to call it. So Amupitan and his official arrival, the INEC office or headquarters in Abuja today. That's the guy you are going to be seeing on your TV screens, on your newspaper in front, the front pages of your newspapers. And you're going to be hearing different quotes and all that. And then you probably begin to form your own opinion and say, oh, yeah, Nigeria is toast. I hope not. So in the National Assembly, they have their own supposed expectations of the INEC this time around, because one of the reasons why Tinubu's regime is not popular is because his regime is considered as an illegitimate regime. An election that was rigged, right, so brazenly that people were expected to actually hit the streets, but that didn't happen. But yet, Tinubu is considered as one of the most unpopular presidents in the history of Nigeria. And let me tell you something, Nigeria actually have enough number of worse and worse leaders. Okolu seems to be taking the number one goal right now because of the credibility of the elections that brought him to office. So some would expect Tinubu to conduct a free and fair elections so that, an improved one where people can see credibility in it and respect the result. That's not going to happen. Again, right? It is just my own opinion, and not just opinion, by the way. We are talking about Tinubu, right? So in the National Assembly, Seriake Dixon was talking about what I just said now, like, comparing their elections, subsequent, and all of that, the past elections, and then, and what they expected of this, their new INEC. It's just another ritual.
The sponsor who led the lead debate and chairman of the Committee on Electoral Matters, of which I'm a member, for bringing this very important matter for our discussion. And having listened to the lead debate and all the very moving and passionate contributions of all members, with which I totally agree, I just felt I should add a thing or two. There is no doubt, as has been said, that if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, it is the issue of how we sustain and deepen and ring-fence the electoral system. Because if that fails, then we will only be a democracy in name. We'll only be a democracy in name. And it's a great shame, it's a shame, that election period after election period, we seem to be regressing. I know that in this country, in 2007, President Yar'Adua, right there on the inaugural podium, restated his determination to review the electoral system that brought him into office. After Yar'Adua, 2015, a sitting president who appeared to be losing without even waiting for the final tally to be called, President Jonathan, and by the way, from the great state of Bayelsa too, made that historic call. And I was there in the room with him. The effort was to deepen and elevate Nigeria's democracy. And thereafter, 2019, we didn't see how that improved our system. So in some way, without casting blame or pointing fingers, we appear not to have built on the momentum that has been established, to the extent that, as I said the other day, and I note Mr. President's very patriotic utterance when he said, well, our country has done it before, and you're right. Now, it's as if, I don't want to say smaller countries, but we are the giant of Africa, and we remain so, by history and by design. It is other countries now that are now taking the shine. And I say so painfully, with reference to the last presidential elections in Ghana, where the candidate of the ruling party, Dr. Bawumia, candidate of NPP, vice president to the sitting president, Akufo-Addo, before even the tally was completed, placed a call to current president John Mahama and considered and stole the show, as it were, from us, Nigeria. So, Mr. President, if there is one major achievement we must make in this 10th Senate under your leadership, we plead that it should be this issue of electoral reform. In India, where you have over 1 billion people voting, diverse nation, which is a continent of its own, they spend 2-3 weeks doing elections because of the size, but you hardly hear people go to court challenging or killing themselves and so on. And they all have the differences too, ethnic, tribe, religion, and all of that. So, Mr. President, we have an opportunity. I know that we have moved from card reader to beavers. We should authorize INEC to deploy more technology, and we should support them with funding. Secondly, our political parties are the biggest challenge to our democracy. We have to look for a way by which we can introduce some regulation and control on their behavior or undemocratic behavior. And thirdly, and this is quite serious, I'm sure when we assemble in Lagos, tomorrow, Mr. President, will be meeting, your committee will be meeting in Lagos to again review some of the proposals that we have been tinkering with for almost a year now. The burden of proof in electoral matters, Mr. President, must shift to INEC. That is where it rightly and properly belongs. We should not subject it to the normal evidential rule that says he who alleges must prove. How can you prove something you don't even know? INEC is the electoral body conducting elections. INEC appoints people, a candidate and party has no control over them. INEC does whatever they do, juggle figures and announce. Do cancellations, they explain to no candidate, they explain to no party. And yet the law says, if you challenge it, he who alleges must prove. No. In every other matter, that may very well be the case. That's the common law. But we must make a change in our reviews in the Electoral Act now, requiring that for electoral matters, which are, as we lawyers say, sui generis, they're a particular class of their own, we must shift that burden. The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC. I want us to look at this carefully, and then when we do the clause by clause and at the committee considerations, we can look at it. Mr. President, thank you very much as we unite to give this country the sponsor who...
Siriake Dixon. The idea, especially the last part, kind of makes sense if INEC declares somebody, like they declared Tinubu winner, and the result they declared, it's not the same result they have on their website, even after using the IREV. So if you challenge elections in Nigeria, you have to prove